So we're talking about what being British means to you every week. I didn't know this. Every week, around 30 people in Oxfordshire become official British citizens. And part of their test, they have to answer all this big, thick book of questions. And some of these questions I think I could answer. Some are a little more problematic. Here's question number 12. What proportion of the population of Britain have used illegal drugs at one time? Is it about a tenth? Is it about a quarter? Is it about a third? Or is it about a half? I suppose it depends where you go and who you hang out with. I don't really know the answers to these, but George Sanderson is from lifeintheuk.net. We tried to have a word with him a little earlier. He's back with us now. Morning, George.
Good morning.
On our landline, that's much better.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, let's just sort out the Britain and its drugs problem. What proportion of the population of Britain have used illegal drugs at one time?
It's a third, according to materials, but as you say, it depends on where you live. So.
Isn't that extraordinary? So tell us how you go about compiling these questions. What are you looking for? What are you testing?
The test itself covers various topics. I mean, it's kind of intended to introduce people to, say, for instance, employment law and health. There's a lot of stuff based on census data. There's some things that comes under core history of the United Kingdom. It's kind of a very broad brush attempt to just cover a bit of everything.
And so if I'm a foreigner and I decide I want to become a British citizen, is there like a course of study, or do you just give someone a book and say, read that and then we'll test you?
It's pretty much we give someone the book and then they're tested. I mean, there are special ones for people who are learning English, but then you have to be able to demonstrate a certain level of English language before you can actually pass.
Okay, so and some of these questions are really intriguing. Some seem to me really easy, like what's the Chancellor of the Exchequer responsible for? You've got A, education, B, health, C, the economy, or D, legal affairs. So I'm guessing it's C. But others are a little more revealing. You test, for instance, Britain's place in the world. Which of the following countries is not a member of the Commonwealth? I would struggle with this. Your options are Mozambique, Seychelles, Singapore, Indonesia. Which of those countries is not a member of the Commonwealth? My guess would be Indonesia, actually.
Well, you'd actually be right in that case. It is Indonesia, but you're right. I mean, it's not a straightforward question, partly because I think there's 54 countries in the Commonwealth that you're meant to be able to remember. And they are all listed one by one in the study materials with the idea that someone can then go, bang, I know which country's in the Commonwealth. And
the purpose of getting people to learn all this stuff about the country and then testing them, what is that purpose?
For me, I think it's twofold. I mean, there's a lot of things in there that, for instance, there's information about the NHS, about registering with a doctor, about getting a bank account, about, what you can expect at work in terms of treatment. And then there's a lot of sort of more cultural information. There's governance structures of the EU, for instance, which is a particular doozy if you're trying to quiz someone. There's also, there's history. I think you mentioned Guy Fawkes and Heights earlier. And these things that some British people just take for granted because we learned it back at primary school when we were sort of 4 to 8 or something.
So I suppose that the purpose also is not to necessarily catch people out, but it's to give them a good working knowledge, I suppose, of life in this country.
Yes, yeah. I mean, with any test, you have to try and catch someone out a little bit just to prove that they've actually studied for it. But it's not. I don't think it's a malicious test. It's not really designed to be a barrier, let's say.
Which is your favourite question? Have you got a favourite question?
I'm not really sure I have. I suppose my personal favourite, just because it caught me off guard when I found out, is the one about people on motorcycles having to wear a helmet unless they're Sikh and they have a turban. And it makes perfect sense when you actually think about it. But if you don't think about it, then you just assume everyone has to wear a helmet.
Well, I've never thought about it, and now you mention it.
Yeah, there you go. It makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Does that, I mean, you're not the person to deal with this, but it just makes me think that there are Sikhs out there, perhaps on motorbikes, who are risking life and limb.
Well, yes, but then there are also completely atheist people who go out without a motorcycle helmet who are risking life and limb, so it's a matter of choice, really, isn't it?
Good to talk to you, George. That's fascinating. That's George Sanderson, who is from lifeintheuk.net. They provide the study guides for the citizenship test, and the citizenship test itself, there's a good word for you, citizenship test, itself is provided by the Home Office.